the federal budget saw a surplus in June. Because of billions in new tariff revenue, the tax revenue exceeded spending by $26 billion. While deficits are still a concern, this is a start in the right direction. One big beautiful bill will take our nation down the right path by cutting mandatory spending by $1.5 trillion, which is the largest spending reduction in the history of our country. It also delivers the largest tax cut in history for American workers and their families. One of the most important provisions of the bill is making tax cuts from TCJA permanent. This prevented a 27% tax hike for folks in my district if the Trump tax cuts expired. And they would not see the $2,200 tax increase that would occur January 1. I'm sure that some of them will use that $2,200 on a trip to Las Vegas next year. It's prevented, instead, Kansans will now see an adjusted inflation rise in wages from $3,400 to $6,000. They will see more take-home pay as well. Families with 2 children in Kansas can expect to see an increase of over $7,000. And the same families will see an increase in the standard deduction on their taxes, boosting it by $1,500. Without the One Big Beautiful Bill, families would have been negatively impacted by a $15,000 cut in the standard deduction. The One Big Beautiful Bill also delivers real relief for our seniors with a tax cut on Social Security benefits. Every American over the age of 65 with an income under $75,000 will now qualify for a boosted income tax deduction up to $6,000. There's around hundreds of thousands of seniors in Kansas that will be positively benefited by that. The White House Council of Economic Advisors estimate that 88% of seniors will pay no taxes at all on their Social Security benefits because of this tax credit. One valuable aspect of the One Big Beautiful Bill that I had a major part in terms of helping was to make sure that we were expediently expensing research and development costs. So many businesses go out and make investments in order to come up with new ideas, new products, new innovation. And to be able to write that off the year you incurred it allows your cash flow to happen to come up with more new ideas. Mr. Robinson, thanks for your insight for leading and for leading manufacturing at Click Bond. With the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill, 100% immediate depreciation is made permanent, which allows businesses like yours to immediately write off the cost of new equipment. From your experience on the factory floor, how does this provision impact your decisions around investing in new machinery or technology?
Yes, good question. It pretty much gives us a green light. There's sometimes things with the uncertainty was on hold. This is telling us to accelerate our timeline in terms of expansion, buildings, and innovation and technology, because with being able to write this off of it rather quickly, it's almost like a 20% or 21% decrease on the price. So if I spend $100, now it only costs me $79, so it makes sense to invest the money sooner than later, make things happen.
But those are great, and that's a lot of what we were looking at was how can we provide certainty for businesses to invest and grow and make the right investment for capital equipment, for research and development, and help make sure that they can then hire more workers and utilize that cash flow to do that. You know, the One Big Beautiful Bill is a historic legislative achievement. It'll lower taxes on Americans, increase their wages, bolster their take-home pay, and protect jobs in Kansas and around the country. It took many hours, often late into the night, working alongside my colleagues here today. But every moment was worth it because the results is a stronger economy and greater opportunity for American families to thrive like never before. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Smucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to be at this facility. Appreciate each of your testimony. Mr. Byington, I think you captured in your testimony, all of you did, but particularly Mr. Byington, why so many of my constituents like this bill, like what the President is doing, like what the Republican Party is doing. It's about rewarding hard work. It's about giving hope to hardworking American families. I couldn't help also but noticing your expression during some of the opening comments, particularly Mr. Horsford, some of the Democrats' comments. Could you tell me why you were, what you were feeling and thinking during those comments?
So being a true Nevadan, born and raised here, I've got the Ms. Titus and Mr. Horsford and Ms. Casarazzo comments about the decline of the Vegas economy. I've lived in this town long enough to know why the Vegas economy is declining. It has nothing to do with our government or the administration. I've seen the prices. Vegas used to be a cheap place to visit, but we're not a cheap place to visit anymore. You know, these corporations have taken our town over. You know, you got to pay to valet. Valet was free. Parking was free. A bottle of water's $15. You know, the entertainment, the taxes. You know, they say that, you know, the big, beautiful bill that's benefiting billionaires. Who owns the hotels? I don't own the hotel. I'm assuming it's a billionaire. So maybe with a billionaire getting a tax credit that owns this hotel, he cannot charge $25 to valet, $50 to park here, or a $15 bottle of water.
I appreciate it. I want to get to one or two other questions, but the fact of the matter is that hardworking American families are seeing a tax cut in this bill, and billionaires are seeing their taxes increase slightly. That's the fact. What the Democrats are saying is just absolutely untrue. But what I want to lay out here is the stark difference, what you're hearing from both sides here. It is clear that Republicans are the family of are supporting hardworking American families, and Democrats, in opposing this bill, have voted against every one of those provisions that would have done that. And in fact, they're standing for bigger government. They're standing for more taxes from people's pockets. They're standing for more government expenditures. They're standing for people staying on Medicaid with no requirement for anything they need to do to stay on. I do want to also test Leader Canizaro, your thoughts on this bill. I picked up that you were opposed to the bill. You did, though, say that if tips were made permanent, you would feel perhaps differently. Are you saying, if no tax on tips, are you saying you would support no tax on tips if it were made permanent?
Thank you very much for the question, Congressman. I first would note that there are pieces of this bill that do help working families.
So you would support no tax on tips?
One of which would be a true no tax on tips.
How do you feel about every Democrat voting against the no tax on tips that was in this bill?
What is in this bill is not only a temporary 2-year provision for no tax on tips.
So no tax on tips is fine if permanent, but not good if temporary? Well, by the way, it could have been permanent if we didn't have to do it through budget reconciliation.
Mr. Smucker, will you yield?
No, I will not. We will not have had to do it through budget reconciliation if Democrats had joined us on this. I want to test, if I may.
But on that, I
want to test one other thing. Do you think that there should be a set of qualifications for individuals to access Medicaid? Do you think there should be a...
In Nevada, 2/3 of our Medicaid population is employed. They are working Nevadans. They have jobs.
Which is
they are working hard.
So do you think, just go with me, answer this, do you think Medicaid should be contingent on a set of qualifications?
I think that people who are looking for Medicaid coverage, because that is the only place they can get health care.
So I'm not hearing that you think there should be a set of qualifications.
There are qualifications for individuals.
Do you think there should be?
Who are on Medicaid.
Okay, so the question I want to know is, if you believe there should be a set of qualifications, one of the objections you have to the bill is that there would be more stringent adherence to those qualifications, ensuring that people comply with those qualifications. I want to say that Dr. Oz, head of CMS, just came to the committee yesterday and talked about 2.8 million individuals, 2.8 million at a cost of $14 billion per year, who were accessing either Medicaid in 2 different states or Medicaid and Obamacare marketplace subsidies at the same time. Do you think there should be more stringent requirements to ensure that doesn't happen and thus save taxpayer dollars?
What this bill does is put work requirements that have been proven to be ineffective and have resulted in nothing but additional red tape that prevent people from accessing health care.
The other thing that Dr. Oz said, which I thought was really good, and that is, if you came home at the end of the day and there was someone sitting on your sofa that did nothing for 6 hours, sat and watched TV for 6 hours, wouldn't you require them to get up and do their part?
Again,
do you think about that all in terms of work requirements?
2/3 of Nevadans who are on Medicaid are currently employed. They have jobs. They are working
What
hard.
about the ones who aren't but could be?
We are talking about children. We are talking about seniors.
No, we're not.
We are talking about people with disabilities.
We're not talking about children. We're not talking about seniors. And we're not talking about mothers with children. We're not talking about individuals with disability. That is patently false. They are excluded from these work requirements. What we're talking about is individuals who are working age, who have no reason they could not participate in the workforce, but are choosing not to do so. That is what we're talking about. What Democrats are saying about this bill is patently false. And I'm way over my time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I just want to thank all of the witnesses for their very compelling testimony. I listened very carefully. I read your testimony. And if I don't ask you a question directly, it's because, unlike the Republicans, I only have 5 minutes. I just want to start by responding to something that my colleague, Representative Adrian Smith, said, that, you know, somehow implying that Democrats were not telling you the truth and that they, in fact, were giving you all the facts. So let's just start with a little fact-checking here. First of all, the whole no tax on tips thing was not, Mr. Rona, not Donald Trump's idea. First time I ever heard of this was from Stephen Horsford, representative from Las Vegas. So that's the one thing I would like to correct. Mr. Robinson, I am so happy to hear that you think that the Tax Cut and Jobs Act provided the resources. I mean, we cut taxes down to 21%, which is why I can't figure out why Mr. Smucker's saying that corporations are paying more. I mean, we went from, what, 36% down to 21%. We've made that permanent. You said that it gave corporations an opportunity to raise wages for workers, to provide more opportunities for them. And I know that you provide health care, which is very important for your workers. But the Congressional Budget Office says that the 2017 tax cuts, there were virtually zero corporations that actually provided increases in wages to workers. Instead, they provided CEO compensation, and they provided shareholders with more money. So, Mr. Byington, you can forget about your idea of them lowering the costs and stopping that stuff from happening. You can forget about that. That ain't gonna happen, sir. So thank you, Mr. Robinson, for being one of the few people that did that. They say that we're not true, and I'm very happy, Ms. Overman, that you are going to get that $6,000 cut temporarily, and, maybe you'll live long enough after that for, them to come around to making it permanent like they did for the billionaires. I guess I want to ask some questions of the senator. Senator, we heard Ms. Simmons give her testimony about how she worked 12,000 DoorDashes. My God. Her husband was suffering from cancer. She worked. Other DoorDashers out there, are they going to be, even though they're working, because a work requirement was one of the big things you had to have. If you're out there DoorDashing, you do 12,000, are you going to get help? Are you going to qualify for Medicaid?
Thank you so much for that question, Congresswoman.
And you're working.
And there are so many Nevadans that fall exactly into that definition. They are working Nevadans, but because they cannot access health care through an employer, and because they do not qualify for subsidies on the exchange, which, by the way, are also stripped in this bill, they are on Nevada Medicaid. 800,000 Nevadans, 1 in 5 children, are covered by Medicaid. And so imposing these sorts of requirements in other states has only resulted in coverage losses and a lack of health care. And to be clear, we are talking about Medicaid, but we are also talking about hardworking Nevadans that are covered under Medicaid, and those costs that are paid through Medicaid are going to be absorbed in other places.
Okay, and Senator, I just want to know, because I just want to fact check some stuff you said in your testimony. You said that people who try to get health care on the exchange, they're going to face like a 573% increase? In other words, they're not going to have any health care. And people who are working won't be eligible for Medicaid. I'm just going to make a statement. The Republicans did not take an opportunity to raise the earned income tax credit. We are actually taxing people into poverty. So people who have no kids, under 25 years old or over 65, even though they're working, would not be able to benefit from that. On the no tax on tips, only half of what you provide. If you work and you make $20 an hour, and you would get double time, make $40 an hour, you're going to only get no tax on tip on $20 of that. I just want to take the last 7 seconds to talk to Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, I had the opportunity to meet your wonderful cowboy husband. And he said that he, just like you, he's an entrepreneur. And he has a construction business. He has 5 employees. And he pays health care to those 5 employees. Do you realize that with this big, beautiful bill, the premiums on those on the premiums he pays are going to go up by 75%. And he said he was already struggling to do it. And the reason that he started his own business and decided to pay for health care is because he saw the huge turnover when businesses did not provide health care. I just want to congratulate you and your husband on your entrepreneurship, but I want you to know factually that you're going to be worse off under this big, ugly bill that the Republicans have passed. My time has expired. Mr. Chairman, thank you for your indulgence, and I yield back.
Mr. Kustoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the witnesses for being here. It's good that I'm glad we came to you instead of you coming to us. This is a great scene to be at. And Mr. Byington, if I can later, I know we're all looking forward to the tour here at YESCO. If I can with you, how many men and women work under you as a paint foreman?
I have 6 employees under me directly.
All right. So some of them will work overtime?
Every chance they get, yes.
So from a real practical standpoint, what does this bill mean for the men and women who work for you? How does it benefit them?
Okay. And in my department, it's almost a family. So I have 2 of his children that work for me. So they were born under our insurance. So not only him and like that. So, but I think, like I said in my statement earlier, the housing costs here in this city are just astronomical. I'm wondering, an average starter home is $25,000 to $3,000 a month. So, like I said, with the big, beautiful bill, and these young kids, if they want to work hard, if they want to be ambitious, they're going to be rewarded. So now they have the opportunity to maybe save up for a house by working overtime, because that's money going directly into their pocket. So they can save. Other than that, with, like I said, with the past way the economy's been this last 4 years, you're not saving for anything. You're lucky to put gas and food, but now, things are moving forward. There's a sense of release. People are saving money. They're talking about, now my young employees are talking about, I want to save for a house now. I can put all my overtime into savings to get a house. There's hope for these people.
I mean, there's no doubt with the passage of this bill, they're going to have money in their pocket that they didn't have before we passed the bill.
Yes.
And by the way, some on the other side, at least a couple of times, have said that this bill is, I wrote this down, meant for the wealthy and well-connected. Are your 6 people you're talking about wealthy and well-connected?
No, they're not.
Thank you, Mr. Byington. Mr. Rona, thank you for being here today. You've got a unique perspective because you are a server and you've employed servers in the restaurant business. What does this bill, the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, but no tax on tips, mean for the people that you work with today?
Well, regardless of where anybody I work with stands politically, they're all excited about this. We talk about it at work. I don't know a single person that doesn't want more money in their pocket. And what it equates to in real dollars is approximately what I would pay for energy at my house. It's basically like my energy bills just got taken care of for the year.
Do you hear people along the strip or who you work with talk about the passage of this bill and what it means to them?
It's quite often talked about, almost on a daily basis.
What are they saying?
They're excited. I mean, it's nice to see, some recognition for how hard things are, specifically for our industry, and to have political promises made on the campaign trail put into law and delivered for us.
And by the way, again, to reference what some said on the other side about this bill being meant for the wealthy and well-connected, are any of the people that you're testifying about today wealthy or well-connected?
Not the people I work with, no, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ramona. Ms. Simmons, thank you for appearing today. You gave heartfelt testimony. If you can, and you don't know what you don't know, but from your perspective, what do you think this bill is ultimately going to mean for you and the savings that you're going to have?
Well, again, I believe that, it's going to free up some stuff for me. It means that I'm going to be able to stay more connected with my family in Missouri. It's going to help with any future treatments. God forbid that he has to have more treatments, but it will help more with that. It is truly, DoorDash is truly a independent, industry. And I enjoy that part of it. I like being able to, just do what I need to do. And freeing up this extra money means quite a bit to my family.
And Ms. Simmons, do you consider yourself to be wealthy or well-connected?
Not at all.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for appearing, and Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Tenney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses. This is an incredible setting, and I want to thank you, the Young family, for all this amazing backdrop that we have, and for a business that was founded many years ago that continues to be successful in Nevada. We're grateful to everyone in your hospitality. I just wanted to first just echo the sentiment of my colleague, Mr. Kelly. I come from New York. It's similar to maybe Las Vegas, and right now, the leader of the Democratic Party in New York City, the contender who will likely be the mayor of New York, is a Marxist anti-Semite who believes in taking away the means of production from the people, who believes in, a lot of things that are contrary to even our founding views. So this is a difference between whether or not we are a free country, where we celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship and self-governance and freedom, or we go down the road to socialism and Marxism that is advocated, by the way, in the New York State Legislature where I served, where the Democratic Socialists of America are leading New York's delegation. Just wanted to mention that. And one thing, I love my colleague, Representative Moore from Wisconsin. She's terrific. She's smart. But one thing, she's got her facts wrong, because I can't find a district or a company in my district in upstate New York, which is driven by small businesses and entrepreneurs, that didn't actually increase the pay for its employees and actually invest more in its business because of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017. And they're continuing to do that, and they are all sighing a huge sigh of relief in New York State, because we have reinstated the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act under President Trump, and we are going to see these tax cuts continue. I will not yield. I have too many things I've got to get to, but appreciate it. This is really important for New York. We are fighting against a Marxist regime in Albany, so every small business in New York is struggling. Every senior is struggling because of the high taxes, the high wage rates, the high energy rates, all the things that I feel like are happening under the leadership of the Democrats, not only in New York, but in Nevada, when I read some of these articles about energy and about some of the policies that are being put in place. So I first want to direct my question to Ms. Overman. I want to ask you, you mentioned in your testimony the importance of Social Security on seniors and the importance of having the deduction that we offered for the Social Security. We would love to do a Social Security cut on taxes as President Trump wanted. We weren't able to do that because of the reconciliation rules. But we appreciate that. Could you just to give us a few seconds of why this is important to you and why this will help seniors, particularly in Nevada?
I'd like to also mention that I've lived in New Jersey originally and moved from New Jersey because of the high taxes and moved out here because it was much lower cost of living rate. The last few years of President Biden's term, I was paying taxes on my measly Social Security, and I just could not believe that I was actually paying taxes. I didn't make a lot of money. When you work in healthcare as a volunteer manager in both hospital setting and in hospice, particularly in hospice, you do not earn a lot of money. My salary was very minuscule. I loved working with volunteers, and that's why I did it. And I worked in hospice for over 10 years, and I worked in hospital setting for approximately 20 years. I loved working with volunteers, and I felt that it was a very rewarding environment. Well, it was a very rewarding environment. I did not make...
We want to thank you so much for doing that, and to what Mr. Smucker said, in order to meet the work requirements for Medicaid and receiving it, you can actually volunteer for wonderful organizations like hospice, our veterans. You can do that for 20 hours a week. You don't even have to seek a paying job, which is what's so interesting about the claims of the Democrats and what's actually the reality. But we have a lot of double dippers out there in the Medicaid world, and we have the largest fraud, abuse, and waste in the entire nation in the state of New York, where we have people that are out of 8 million people on Medicaid in the Essential Plan, 3 million are ineligible. So we have only 5 million people eligible and 3 million ineligible. It's costing us a ton of money. I wanted to get into independent contracting, but I know our time has expired. And I don't want to go over time because my dear colleague from Wisconsin said that only Republicans get extra time, and she got an extra minute. But I want to say thank you to all of you. I wanted to get into independent contractors, a little-known provision of this bill that is going to be really helpful to everyone out there who wants to learn about their ability to continue to work on the side, to be entrepreneurs and independent contractors. There are benefits in this bill for you, too. And thank you so much, everyone. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request. I have a unanimous consent request, sir.
What?
I would like to add to the record the Congressional Budget Office report that the 2017 job tax, what do you call it, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that the reduction in taxes, that there were almost 0 companies that used it to raise salaries.
Ms. Moore, do you have a copy of that?
Can I unanimous consent to add that to the record?
If you have a copy of that, if you provide a copy of that, we'll add it to the record. So do you have a copy?
That's all I want, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for yielding.
Reserving the right to object, I do have a question. Does that CBO report indicate that the Obamacare subsidies would be stripped from our bill, within our bill? Will Obamacare subsidies that was mentioned before,
the ACA premium, they are not renewed.
They're not
so it wasn't a matter of them being stripped. They expired, and they expired just like the 199A provisions expired. They were double standard, but that expired, and you did not help them. So that means that somebody who's door dashing, and they decide to go get the Nevada Silver Plan, their premium might go up 573%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will certainly
thank you, sir. And I love my colleagues, especially this one over here with the great jacket. I yield back.
We definitely allowed Ms. Moore to have much more time than what she says that we allow Democrats, and I just want the record to show that. And what I would like to say in regards to the premium tax credits, which has gotten a lot of discussion that they both were discussing about, it is not in this bill. It's not even mentioned. It's not touched. So there's no way you can strip something out of a bill if it was never in it. Those tax credits
were not renewed.
It's my time, Ms. Moore. The tax credits expire at the end of this year, and it's important for the record to show that when the Inflation Reduction Act, solely passed by Democrats and no Republicans, extended the premium tax credits, enhanced them, they made it temporary, much like the no tax on tips, so that it would expire in 5 years. They could have made it permanent, but instead they made the electric vehicle tax credit permanent. Mr.
And you
Gomez.
could have made it permanent, too. And
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know you mentioned at the beginning that you had these, I guess, field hearings a few years ago. I wasn't on the committee. I was actually off the committee because we lost the majority, and I just got back on last year. But this, honestly, this is kind of a joke. Like, this is so partisan, it's not even fucking funny. Oops. I cussed a lot, so sorry about that. It's just my nature, so if I offended anybody. But here's the thing. Let's make a deal. Let's have a field hearing, a real one. Just let's pull a district out of a hat, where we do a third Republicans, a third Democrats, and a third Independents. And let's make it open to the public. There's not even enough hearings. So, Mr. Chairman, would you agree to do a field hearing, drawing a random district out of the hat, agreeing to do a third Democrat, third Republican, a third Independent? So with 200 to 300 people, let's make it 500. So then we can really have a debate over this big, so-called beautiful bill. Mr. Chairman, it's an easy request.
You have your time and the clock is ticking.
See, there you go, folks. They don't want to have a real discussion and a real debate over this bill. They don't even they were told not to even hold in-person town halls. Why? Because their constituents are mad as hell. And they're mad as hell because this thing, this big, ugly billionaire bill that really gives tax breaks for the billionaires and largest corporations while screwing the little guy. That's what this bill does. But they refuse to hold town halls. I held a town hall in North Carolina because the Republican congressman there hasn't had a town hall since 2017. I held a town hall in Bakersfield, California, because the member of Congress there refuses to have a town hall. I went to a Republican district in Orange County. They refuse to have town halls in person. I've held 3 in-person town halls in my district, open to the entire public, right? You know, and here's the thing, not everybody agrees with me. People call me conservative in my district. So, here's the thing. We can have this debate. We actually passed the tax package a few years ago. I think it was in 2024 or 2023. That was a deal cut by the Republicans in the House on this committee and the Senate Democrats. And we supported it because it was a bill that focused on working people. It dealt with an enhanced child tax credit. It dealt with a lot of things that would benefit working people. Is what we would have written? No. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because that's my background. I worked, when I graduated high school, no plans on going to college. Worked at Subway and Target. I understand what it means when when rates are going up when it comes to insurance, like but you know what? Didn't have insurance. I had to survive on Medicaid. But nobody, like my parents worked 5 to 6 jobs a week. Yep, 5 to 6 jobs a week. So this bill is not going to do you any justice. And here's the fact. We can have this debate as much as we want, but the reality on the ground will hit people in Nevada no matter what. Either it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. Either those tariffs that are costing jobs are going to either be good or bad, but you're going to feel it. I was here in 2008 for a few months. I was campaigning for Obama. And every door I went to, it was almost every other door, was a foreclosure sign. Foreclosure sign. It was, so bad federal policy hits Nevada first. Like, I recognize that. So I'm willing to, say if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there are things that I know are, I hope they don't happen, but I'm pretty sure they're going to happen. The impact on working people, the fact that they're not going to get health care coverage, the fact that the cost of living is going to increase, and then the jobs are going to leave. We see that happening already. So I would love to have a real hearing with open public, and then let's randomly select people that want to show up. Because that's a debate I'm willing to have. But this right here, they're going to carve you up into little snippets, and they're going to put you on their social media in order to justify passing this disastrous bill. That's what it's all about. With that, I yield back.
Ms. Fishbach.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I just want to say thank you to the witnesses and thank you to our hosts, because this is wonderful. And I am really excited to be here. And I do have to take the opportunity to address the issue of town halls, because the other side likes to say, oh, you have to hold a town hall. But you know what? For them, it's political theater. It's just about political theater. I talk to my constituents. I go to their businesses. I go to the nursing homes. I talk to them, and they do appreciate this bill. So you can take the political theater and have town halls in everybody else's district, but we're about talking to our constituents one-on-one and not in some big auditorium having people yell at people. That's not constructive. And I will say we have had, I wanted to say thank you to Chairman Smith, because we have been having these hearings across the country. And one of the first ones was in my district, in a small town, at a farm, and there was all kinds of people there. As a matter of fact, I served in the Minnesota Senate, and the former Democrat majority leader was one of the witnesses that I invited, so that he could be there to testify on mining. So we are listening to everybody. But most importantly, right now, I see witnesses in front of me that are saying absolutely, and regular people. And I think Mr. Kostoff asked a little bit about billionaires and millionaires, but I see regular people who are going to be helped by this. It is not fake. You are going to see real money in your pockets. You are going to see, and that's what you are telling us. And so I appreciate that, because we have a whole lot of regular people saying this is a good bill, and then we have one politician saying it's not. And I believe the regular people here, that this is going to help them. And so no matter what the critics say, it's the regular people that we want to talk to. And I appreciate all the stories, and I wish I could go through every one of them, because there's so much good in this bill. You know, we're talking about the no tax on overtime. We're talking about the no tax on tips. We're talking about the tax deduction on Social Security. We haven't even mentioned, you know, the estate tax provisions that are going to help with estate tax, the manufacturing provisions, and the kinds of deductions we're doing there, the 199A deduction for small businesses. So we're not even talking about all of the wonderful things that are in this bill. And I certainly don't want to go over time, but I do want to just ask Mrs. Jones, you mentioned the child tax credit, and I want to know what that extra money is really going to mean for your family.
It means a lot. We have kids at elementary all the way up to high school. So it gives us an opportunity to, we have a daughter that she could start driving soon, so we'll be able to help her purchase a car. So we want to show her work ethic. So when we're going to match what she brings to the table. We're not just going to hand her money. It's all about work ethic. So when people are sitting here saying that there's not people out there working, that the One Big Beautiful Bill is taking from people out there, it's not taking from people, it's taking from the lazy. That's the problem. They want to hand hard taxpayer money to the lazy, illegal aliens and say, hey, you don't matter. So I'm not going to raise my child to say you don't matter. We're showing her work ethic. And the Big Beautiful Bill is showing her that too. And in regards to the statement about my husband's employees, yes, we struggle to help with making sure their benefits are paid. But coming here today, they were very proud. All five of them. And 3 of them are Democrats. And they said, give them hell. And here we are.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. And, you know, maybe I should just ask, I've got about 30 seconds left. Is there any of the witnesses that wanted to respond to something quickly that maybe you heard that you want just a couple of seconds that... Okay, well, I appreciate it, and I am going to stay under my time, Mr. Chair, and I'd like a couple of brownie points for that. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Fishbach. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for getting us out west as well, where the heat is actually just heat, and you don't have all of that humidity like we do in the swamp. So I'm a neighboring Utah resident my whole life, and represent Utah's 1st Congressional District. Thank you also to the Nevadans for helping host this and all the folks here. I wanted to say that I'm actually doing my part to make sure that your economy and tourism is kicked up. We just came back down here for a basketball tournament for my son's 12-year-old team. I won't apologize, though, for winning the whole thing and beating a Nevada team, so it's not all good news for you guys, but we are doing our part. And to Yesco, Young Electric Sign Company, an incredible place to host. I don't think we've had a more unique, awesome experience in not only just the amazing work that you do and that you've built. This is a family-owned company. This industry, actually, the outdoor media industry, is uniquely family-owned enterprises. And I love being able to showcase the hard work that they do. Mr. Byington, as a part of the Gracious Hosting Committee, thanks for the hard work that you've done into promoting such an incredible economy, right? That's what this whole industry does. The whole intent for an industry like this is to go out and help other businesses. You're got a core business, but your job is to highlight all the other benefits that other businesses kind of create and do. That is at the essence of what we're trying to do with this type of legislation. I wrote an op-ed a while ago. I don't expect any of you read it. I'm not offended. But it talked about the difference between two approaches, right? And now that I've been in Congress for 5 years, I've been in the minority, I've been in the majority, I've seen two reconciliation bills that I want to just kind of juxtapose. One is the American Rescue Plan, and one is the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which is now extended and made permanent by the One Big Beautiful Bill. There's one fundamental difference. One empowers spending and a more bureaucratic approach and a more centralized approach to controlling that monetary supply, and the other pushes that decision-making and that monetary supply to not monetary supply, but the savings, it pushes out to the economy. It pushes out to the individuals that are working in the economy, so they're able to make a bunch of decisions. And the intent is that if we're able to lower your taxes, you're going to go spend that somewhere else, and that business is going to do better, and then that business is also going to pay taxes. And that's why we don't see revenue dip when we decrease or make taxes competitive. We actually see consistent revenue growth. Utah is one of the states that has incredibly low taxes, but you see constant growth in what we're doing industry-wise and the ability to grow that revenue. It's vastly important. Ms. Jones, I was going to ask you a question about the child tax credit, but you just graciously answered it. And I won't make you repeat some of the things you just said. I just want to highlight, well over half of this bill, the tax provisions in this bill, go directly to two things. One of them is the child tax credit, and one of them is the standard deduction. Okay, that's not even including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax to support seniors. That takes it beyond more than half of it, right? Substantial, vast majority of this is directed at middle and lower income working families. That is the truth. No matter what you want to say, you can look at things one way or the other. That is factual. The child tax credit is approximately $800 billion worth of making sure that families now will not revert back to $1,000. And we did it permanently, and we increased it and enhanced it. That's the part that I think that I wish every American knew, is that when we had a chance to do something here, we didn't just do it for a 4-year period and then put it on the docket for later that Republicans and Democrats would have to wrangle or figure out. We made it so it was permanent forever. And we tied it to inflation, so it's going to continue to grow. That's something that's fundamentally different about that child tax credit that we've never seen before. And the standard deduction is not something that benefits the wealthy. So how in the world is well over vast majority of this bill that targets just a tax break for the billionaires? Billionaires don't itemize, or they do itemize. It's the 91% of Americans that don't itemize that actually get a massive increase in what they can write off or deduct from their taxes. So thank you for highlighting that. I want to ask one quick question, Mr. Byington, and I wouldn't be opposed to Ms. Simmons and Ms. Rona. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. They're not often things that I focus on, Mr. Robinson. I focus on some of the other business provisions that create. This, though, you highlighted some for me about hope. Are you going to be willing, if all of a sudden you can keep more of your take-home pay from taxes or overtime, are you more or less inclined to work harder?
Well, I'm going to be inclined to work harder because it directly benefits me. That's what this bill does. We've spent so much time debating about government benefits that are helping people who don't want to work or don't belong here. But the American dream is, and you can tell the diversity of this panel, diversity of this room. It's what America's built on. The harder you work, the more successful you are.
Ms. Simmons, Mr. Rono?
And it's a proven fact.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Ms. Simmons?
Of course I'm going to work harder because the more I work, the more tips that I can potentially receive, which means more going into my household.
Thank you. Mr. Rono, you can finish this up here.
Of course I want to work harder. I like to work hard. You know, life is hard, and that's what makes it great. This just makes it a little bit easier, and it provides incentive to continue working hard.
Thank you, Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Horsford.
Thank you. A lot has been said throughout this hearing, and I agree. We need to reward work, not wealth. We also need to grow economic opportunity, not have policies that cause economic uncertainty. We can disagree about which party's priorities, but if we center rewarding work and creating opportunity, and we work in a bipartisan way, we can actually accomplish more together than we can apart. And I wish, Mr. Chairman, that we would have had more of an opportunity to work in a bipartisan way, because there's a lot of things that we could have gotten done had we worked together. Mr. Byington, what high school did you graduate from?
I went to Western, and my family all graduated from Western High School in the late
Awesome.
60s.
So I'm a graduate of Clark High School, class of 91, go Chargers. That's when you know that you're a native Nevadan, because we ask you what high school you go to, and if you're at one of the original 9, then you've been here a long time. I want to ask Senator Cannizzaro, particularly because 30% of Southern Nevada's jobs are in hospitality. They generate over $80 billion of economic activity. Unfortunately, these blanket tariffs have alienated two of our most important trading partners, Canada and Mexico. And the facts for themselves, they speak for themselves. It's down 8.7% just among international travel alone. Yes or no, have you heard from local business owners who are suffering due to the downturn in our tourism economy?
Thank you for the question.
Very quickly.
Congressman, yes.
Okay. So that's the problem, is that this bill will only make it worse. Republicans gutted in this bill Brand USA, the nation's official tourism marketing organization, by 80%. That's in this bill. Since 2013, Brand USA has attracted 10.3 million visitors and generated over $75 billion towards tourism. And for every dollar that it spends, it returns $20 in direct benefits. Senator Cannizzaro, with our state facing a projected $350 million shortfall, if tourism declines and worsens, will that threaten essential services for residents in Nevada? Yes or no?
Yes, Congressman, absolutely.
Mr. Rona, I am so glad to have a hospitality worker's perspective at this table. Our working class has been hit hard for far too long, and I agree with you, and I don't care what party you belong to. Our hospitality workers are why we are the entertainment capital of the world. So thank you for being part of that. I am concerned because this bill doesn't go far enough when it comes to no tax on tips. My tax on tips bill, the TIPS Act, would not only provide permanent tax relief without a cap, but it also closes loopholes to ensure that only those who are receiving the benefit, the hardworking hospitality workers, receive them, not others who could try to game the system. In Nevada alone, over 110,000 people could also lose their health care. Mr. Rona, don't you agree that temporary tax relief on tips will only go so far if workers are also losing health care and other supports for work, like housing?
I can't speak intelligently on health care costs.
Okay.
All I have is my own my issues on that. All I know is a good idea is a good idea. And I would challenge you to extend these temporary cuts in the future to people like me.
And to make them permanent.
And I thank you. If you were originally the one with the idea, that's a great idea.
You know what? I'm not. You know whose the idea it is? It's the workers. It's never been about one person. And this is the thing. I don't care about Donald Trump or any one person getting credit. It's the workers who said, give us more of our hard work, let us keep more of our hard working money, but also let us raise the wage of tip workers. Because in America, outside of Nevada and in other states, they get paid as little as $2.13 an hour. That is not a livable wage, no matter how you cut it. Ms. Simmons, are you familiar with how these food banks are funded? And I want to thank you for the work that you do with Project Dash, because it's great work that's helping about 1,000 meals be delivered to homebound seniors. Are you familiar with how the food banks are funded? Because some of those meals that you deliver come from organizations like 3 Square.
I'm not really up on how they are funded.
Okay.
I do know that they do, you know, they ask for donations.
Absolutely. It's largely from federal government and private philanthropy. 3 Square does a phenomenal job. Thank you for delivering those meals. And my heart goes out to you and to your husband. I ask for his continued blessings.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I want to ask unanimous consent to submit for the record several recent articles about the effect of the Big Ugly Bill here in Nevada. First, from KTNV Las Vegas. What is the effect on the Las Vegas economy as tourism keeps declining? Here's what we found. 2, Nevada Independent. 1 in 6 Nevadans get food stamps. Many may lose benefits under Trump's big, beautiful bill. 3, Nevada Independent. GOP bill, biggest health care shakeup since Obamacare. Here's what it means in Nevada. Nevada Independent. Vegas isn't fun anymore if you're on a budget. Las Vegas Review-Journal. How will the big, beautiful bill impact health care in Nevada? Las Vegas Review-Journal. Las Vegas unemployment rate rises again amid tourism slump, the Trump slump. Las Vegas Sun. Nevada hospitals brace for impact of Trump's budget bill. Las Vegas Sun. Race is on in Nevada to install solar panels before end of tax credit. And number 9, Las Vegas Sun, Trump's budget bill stacks the odds against gamblers and threatens Nevada. 2 more. NBC News. The biggest political fight over Trump's mega bill are converging in Nevada. And just out this morning, Axios focus groups Nevada swing voters turning on Trump, and they turn to no tax on tips and the fact that it's not permanent, it's capped, and that it's not really going to give the relief. These are what Nevadans are talking about. And had we had a public hearing, these are what you would have heard from the majority of the people that I represent, that Dina Titus represents, that Susie Lee represents, and that Mark Amodei too. And so my only point, as I close, Mr. Chairman, is...
Without objection, that's entered into the record.
When we get back to Washington after our August district work period, I would like to work with you and members of the Republican Party to reward work, to protect economic opportunity, and to do it in a bipartisan manner. I yield back.
Perfect. Mr. Bean.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. A very good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, Las Vegas. What a great town you have, and this is where it all started. The centerpiece of the one big, beautiful bill, no tax on tips, started right here. So the chairman could have gone anywhere in America to have this field hearing, but he chose Las Vegas. And it's a beautiful town. I also am doing my part to spend lots of money here.
All right.
I haven't gambled, but I did go to lunch on the Strip, and I went to see a movie at a place called The Sphere yesterday, and it's an amazing venue. That's certainly going to be very exciting. Now, he also, the chairman, could have picked anywhere in Las Vegas to go to, but he picked Yesco, which is the maker of what's synonymous with Las Vegas, those beautiful neon electric signs. And so, Mr. Byington, I talked to Jeff Young, who is the one of the operators here, and he said that you're not just a sign foreman, you're an artist, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the works of art that you've created. For those watching on C-SPAN at home, you can't see this venue, and you can't see all of the officers from Las Vegas Metro Police Department that are surrounding the facility here. I want to give a shout out to them. Thank you for being here today. Know that America stands with law enforcement. It's crazy times we're in. We're with you. I also know that you work overtime, and so relief is on the way for you as well. So I also know Congress is a busy place. I've been there for 3 years. It's extremely busy. It can also be stressful, but it's not as stressful as the 3 years I spent as a server for Sliders Seaside Restaurant on Amelia Island, as well as Emilio's, and so many times. I discovered, and I was good at it, but I discovered it got stressful. 5 tables was my limit. Couldn't do 6. 6 would fall apart. So, Mr. Rona, I give you a shout out as well. Now, I've only been on Ways and Means for 7 months now. I'm confused. I helped write the bill, but I'm really confused when I listen to the other side, the haters of this bill. And so there's only one way I can clear things up, and it's ask some of our panelists an extremely personal question. I'm going to ask it. It's really just a yes or no. If you feel embarrassed or you don't want to answer, I totally understand. But I have to ask it. Let me just ask it. Mr. Rona, you have said, well, let's just ask. Are you a billionaire?
Not yet.
Very good. Ms. Simmons, you drive for DoorDash. Are you a billionaire?
No, haven't quite made it there yet.
Very good. Mr. Byington, you're the artist here at Yesco making the beautiful signs. Are you a billionaire, my friend?
No, sir, I'm not.
Very good. Keep the beard. I'm a big fan. Let's go to Ms. Jones. You talked about the child tax credit. Now, are you a billionaire?
Not in the least.
I don't understand, because the other side says this is just a billionaire bill giveaway. That's all they talk about. But I have, Mr. Chairman, I have the actual report of the money for the average American family of 4, $1,700 back in their pocket. $1,700. Now, you've heard the other side say that's not real money. That's not enough to go forward. So, Ms. Jones, how many trips to the grocery store could your family make with $1,700?
About 5 to 7.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's exactly right. Mr. Rohn, I've heard about your high air conditioning bill. By the way, I'm from Florida. We have a wet heat. I'm a big fan of the dry heat, but you still have to AC your living quarters. How many electric bills could you pay with $1,700?
Probably about 7 or 8 months.
Yeah, a lot. So that's the answer. So I want to say this. I know the other side said the fallout is that we're losing millions, will lose their health care. I want to give you the actual numbers because I have them right here. Of the millions, 1.4 illegal aliens are losing their health care. It was never designed for illegals. It was designed for Americans. It's a safety net for the neediest among us. And that goes to our next round of people that have to go to work. 4.8 million Americans are abled bodies. They can work. They don't have kids. They're not disabled. And we're asking them, already it was my bill. I filed a bill earlier this year that was picked up by this committee for work requirements, 20 hours a week. Ms. Simmons, is 20 hours a week reasonable for somebody to qualify for business for benefits that doesn't have kids and is able-bodied? Would you say that's reasonable? It's a yes. Yes is the right answer, but say okay. What say you? Is that reasonable, 20 hours?
Sure.
All right, let's go with Byington. Watch what he does. Is it reasonable, Mr. Byington?
It's too reasonable.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you said something earlier. This bill is about hope. Hope for the next generation. I remind this committee, I remind America, we're $37 trillion in debt. The only way we're going to get out of debt is to provide hope for the next generation to begin to pay off that debt, to light our economy on fire, which is what this bill will do. We're going to make more signs. We're going to have more tickets to the Sphere. We're going to do lots of things. We're going to hire more people, Las Vegas. And it starts now with the passing and the launch of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Moran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to all the witnesses that are here today. I want to start with you, Ms. Jones. I love your story. I'm inspired by your story, and I want to applaud you for the achievements that you've made to overcome your circumstances. You said this. You said you refused to let your circumstances determine who you were. That's very inspiring to hear. As you work harder, I think I know the answer to this, as you work harder in your businesses, as you begin to achieve more, do you want to reap more of those rewards, or would you like to see the government take more of that out of your pocket?
I want to keep my money, personally. I want to see people do the same thing I did. As a person that grew up with a family of 13, I want to see everybody in Las Vegas build just like I did.
Yeah, I think you're a person that believes in personal responsibility. And by the way, that's what the One Big Beautiful Bill believes in, too, is personal responsibility and giving more of the taxpayer dollars back to them. How many of you think those dollars we're talking about here actually belong to the government? Does anybody think that?
Not me.
It looks unanimous here that everybody agrees the taxpayer dollars belong to the taxpayer themselves. So, Ms. Jones, I want to come back to you about personal responsibility. That means good choices lead to good consequences. Bad choices lead to bad consequences. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
What kind of choices did you make to go from, as you termed it, poverty to prosperity?
I learned in my community, it was okay to be at home. It was okay to live on other people's dime. And I chose different. I wanted more. I did the research. When I was having children, when I was trying to build a family, it was normal to be on welfare. I started working for Citibank in a corporate office. And everybody kept asking me, why do you drive so far? Because I wanted more.
You decided in yourself, instead of looking to government, you looked in the mirror and said, I'm going to make my dreams a reality, didn't you?
Absolutely.
And that's what we're trying to do through the One Big Beautiful Bill. I want to come down to Mr. Rona. Mr. Rona, you and I talked before this hearing. We talked about the fact that I also was a server, and I remember 30 years ago working in Mercado Mexican Cafe in Tyler, Texas. The lessons I learned during that time period, I learned how to communicate, how to listen, how to work under pressure, how to solve problems, how to take blame for things that weren't my fault, and also take blame for things that were my fault along the way. Are you learning those same kind of lessons?
I've learned it over a lifetime of working in restaurants.
Yeah, I was surprised just a second ago. Mr. Horsford said, when talking about the no tax on tips provision, he said, quote, it's not going to really give the relief. He said that. But here's what the numbers would say.
Will you yield?
I will not yield.
Well, you used my name, so.
That's exactly what you said, and I wrote it down as you said it.
It's not permanent relief, is what I said.
Let's just look at the next couple of years. So even in this next year, Mr. Rona, you and your wife are both servers. If you take advantage of the full $25,000 and assume a 20% income tax rate, you're going to have $5,000 back in your pocket in the next year. Is that real money to you?
That's real money.
Would you rather that the people at this table decide what to do with that money and who else to give it to, or would you rather keep that in your own pocket and to make your dreams a reality with that $5,000?
I think I'm better at spending my money.
Yeah, I do too. I absolutely do think that you're better at spending your own money, the money that you worked hard for, the money that you made good choices for, rather than the people at this dais, even the people on my side of the aisle. As well-intentioned as we are, I think we get it wrong way more often than individuals do back at home. I'd rather see them have their money back. I'm going to end in this last minute by moving on to the YesGo folks. Mr. Byington, I want to come back to you because the YesGo story, we are here in this great warehouse where you guys have produced lots of great product over more than 100 years for individuals in this country. And I hearken back to the story where Thomas Young Sr. moved to the United States from England because of tough times there, and his father was a coal miner, but he saw in his son a dream of being an artist, and he gave him a $300 loan, and as a result of that, 100 years later, many, many people are employed, many, many products and services are being provided. This is the American dream. Following your passions, taking risks, working hard, investing your own money in your own future instead of depending on government. And seeing it pay off just like YESCO has seen it pay off. You mentioned earlier, a couple of quotes I want to mention. If you want it, hustle and work hard, you will be rewarded. We are giving people hope. This is what you said about the One Big Beautiful Bill. And finally, you said the harder you work, the more you will be rewarded. Sir, you seem to have been carrying that banner that started 100 years ago at YESCO truly and faithfully. I want to give you the last word to comment on what's been said today and to remind the American people it's their money, and if they work hard, they should be rewarded.
Thank you. Fortunately, I'm able to work for a company, Miss Moore from Wisconsin, that gives back to their employees. This company does. Yes, this company does. These owners, they don't drive fancy cars, fancy houses. They believe in America, and they believe in the American people, and they reward us for us. And then this is a company, the harder you work, the harder you can rise. Sky's the limit. It's an amazing company, and it's a company that's family first. That's the main reason I work for this company, because other than profits and everything else, they do put family first. And I've been a testament to that, and I've felt that. So I want to thank them. You know, I guess maybe some other people aren't fortunate to work for us companies as good as I do. But I'm fortunate that way. They do give back to their employees. Whatever tax breaks these people get, they give back to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you. I want to. I'm gonna take the time to take questions right now, but I want to add to the record businesses that after the 2017 Trump tax cuts, when they lowered the corporate rate, these are all corporations that did various things for their employees, because it was said earlier that 0 people had increased wages. AT&T, $1,000 bonuses to 1,102 Nevada employees. Walmart, Nevadans employed at 42 Walmart stores received tax reform bonuses, wage increases, and expanded maternity and parental leave. Apple, there are 4 Apple store locations here in Las Vegas and 1 in Reno. $2,500 employee bonuses in the form of restricted stock units. Home Depot, there's 21 locations in Nevada. Bonuses for all hourly employees up to $1,000. Best Buy, 13 locations in Nevada. $1,000 bonuses for full-time employees. $500 bonuses for part-time employees. CarMax is in Reno and Las Vegas. $250 to $1,500 bonuses depending on their length of service to their companies. The Starbucks Coffee Company, 253 locations in this great state. $500 stock grants for all retail employees. 2,000 stock grants for store managers, and varying plan and support centers employing stock grants. U-Haul, multiple U-Haul locations here because people's moving from other states to come to your great state. $1,200 bonuses for full-time employees. $500 is what they gave to part-time. TJ Maxx, there's 9 locations right here in Nevada. Tax reform bonuses, retirement plan contributions, parental leave, enhanced vacation benefits, and increased charitable deductions. And you know what? We've all had a Big Mac at McDonald's. McDonald's has 150 plus Nevada locations. They increased tuition investments, which will provide educational program access for 400,000 U.S. employees, $2,500 per year, up from what they provided, $700. I can continue to go on. Wynn Resorts, employee bonuses. Wells Fargo, they changed their base wage from $13.50 an hour to $15. So it had a huge impact by lowering the rates for those corporations, and they delivered for folks in Nevada. I also want to point out, we've heard people talk about all these folks that will be thrown off of Medicaid. Children are exempt, seniors are exempt. The only people that this affects is able-bodied, healthy adults with no kids. And when you break down of the 110,000 that is suggested in Nevada that will lose their Medicaid, 48% of that number, it's my time, 48% are able-bodied, healthy adults who just choose not to work the simple 20 hours a week or to volunteer the 20 hours a week. So they just lose it because they choose not to abide by the regulations. And then you have 16% that have access to other forms of subsidized health insurance, including the option to stay on Medicaid. And that's within the Congressional Budget Office. You have 13% that are already ineligible for the Medicaid program. And they've just been removed from the rolls. They should have never been on it, but they were on it, and they were removed. 1.1 million in the country, or 11% in Nevada, are illegal immigrants that are no longer allowed to get Medicaid. And then 12% are just simply fraudsters who don't want to comply. And so I think it's important to put that into the record. I want to thank you all for
Mr. Chairman, will you yield?
I'm still talking.
The extra time you had. I just want to make one sentence, about the bonuses. That's like a one-time only thing. It's not an increase.
Miss Moore, it is not your time. You've had your time multiple times. I'm the chairman. So what I will say is I want to thank you all so much because when I took over chairmanship of this committee, I said that I wanted to go outside of Washington to hear from real Americans, not the folks in Washington, D.C., so that we could hear what was going on. The very first hearing we had as a committee was not in Washington, D.C. It was in Petersburg, West Virginia, in a lumber yard. And it was called State of America's Economy, Appalachia. And we heard from working moms. We heard from small business owners. We heard from farmers. We heard from coal miners of the issues that they're facing. And started at that very first hearing, we took that information along with visiting 30 other states to craft the one big beautiful bill and to try to deliver for working families, small business owners, and farmers. And that's in fact what we did here. And we're going to continue to advocate for working families and small businesses and farmers. I'd like to thank you all again for appearing before us today. Please be advised that members have 2 weeks to submit written questions to be answered later in writing. Those questions and your answers will be made part of the formal hearing record. With that, the committee stands adjourned.